Good morning. We're going to try this again, but I'm going to try it from my phone. So you just might be like, I don't even want to do this again. What's going on here? I don't want to do this again. And I need you to know, I get it. I get it. Craziness. This is number 5 trying to do this live this morning, but right now I'm on my phone. I think it's my camera. That was the problem. I'm going to have to break down. Hi, Diane. I'm going to have to break down and get myself a new camera. That's what's going to have to happen. I'm going to have to come off the money and say, got to do something, because that freezing stuff, that is for the birds. And normally I do all my lives on the computer, but that wasn't happening. It wasn't happening today. So hopefully you can hear me. Let me tell you how bad it is. First, this isn't working on the computer. Then I go to put in my LG earbuds, right? And from conference, they're dead. They're dead. They're like, hold on, like in the red, dead. See that? Dead. I didn't plug them back up. So not only was it my camera, it also is, yeah, it also is my LG earbuds. Oh my goodness. I'm like, so, the frustration getting unstuck. Now look, this is what I'm going to tell you about this live right here. And y'all know this is the Molly's Moments with Jesus. I know, and the devil has tested me. But you know how I tell you, no matter what, keep going onward, no matter what? I almost quit. Hey, Jen, I almost quit. I almost said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this. It's not meant to be. I'm not doing it. And you know what? I heard every single person who I've ever read their posts on Facebook say, this isn't working for me. This business isn't working for me. This marriage isn't working for me. This job isn't working for me. And everybody leaves right before the freaking breakthrough. You know what I'm saying? So I had to take a moment, and I had to do the old, oosa. Say a little prayer, and then, oosa. And I kept looking, and I kept looking, and I kept looking, and I kept saying, there's got to be something out there that works. I have got to get this message to everybody, because for some reason, the devil don't want me to talk to you about this. And then I realized it was probably me. Kristen, can you hear me now, Kristen? And am I moving? Am I not frozen? Oh my goodness. It has been that morning. Jen, it has been a bad tech day. And I'm not the most techie person. My husband, now he's techie, but I'm not techie, for sure. But some people are like, let me tell you what's going to happen. They're going to miss this message. You know why? They're going to miss it because they said, I was on the first time with her, no success. I was on the second time with her, no success. I was on the third time with her. Dude, that was worse than the first 2 times. And then it was the 4th time, and I was ready to give up. And here we are at number 5. And guess what? We haven't frozen one time yet. Not one, not one time. So this kind of showed me, Molly, that whole onward, no matter what thing, it's like you're going to run into valleys. You're going to run into times when you stub your toe, when business isn't working, when life isn't working, when the tech side of this really sucks, right? Or you're like, no customers, no love for my kids, my husband and I are arguing, nothing about this day is going to be good. You've just got to keep digging. Kristen, it's working, but I'm on my phone. I think the problem is my camera. My camera is not ancient old, but kind of old. My camera's probably about 7 years old. I have to look back at my taxes to see when I bought it, but I guarantee it is. And it only has a certain resolution, blah, 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 blah. So I think I need a new camera. I think it finally gave up the ghost, so to say. So here I am. Here I am with no freezing. Here I am finally with sound. No, not the best sound like from my great microphone, but it works. It works, right? And then I had to laugh. Then I put in my LG Tone earbuds, and because I took them to convention, I didn't charge them when I got home. Yeah, yeah, they were dead. So immediately it was like bloop, 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 telling me it wasn't there. And I'm like, Lord, let me go get my earpods. I need to go get them. Jesus, make something work. So here we are. Here we are. So for those of you who have come back on who are like, yes, finally, sister. Yes, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So thank you for not giving up on me, and thank you for coming back. Hey, Kristen, how are you? Um, so we just want to talk for a minute. I'm not even going to take the chances yet to go share this. Okay, I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to ruin the flow here. I'm going to keep up with the flow. I'm going to keep up with the flow. But I'm going to tell you real quick. Let's talk about convention. Now we're going to talk about convention later on today. I am going to do one completely dedicated to just kind of chatting with all my Avon sisters and brothers and talk about how great it was and how wonderful it was to get my love tank completely filled up between spending time with my family and hugging on my grandson and the Avon community just filling up my love tank with all their hugs and everything. Oh my goodness. I know, Victoria. It was so good to be back at convention. I have not been at convention since, well, live. I haven't been there since 2018. And my goal, I had a goal, one goal. And that was to make sure that I saw and hugged everyone I possibly could. And if you were around for the meet and greet, you got honey bun cake, and some people got the double chocolate glazed cake. It's so funny. Yes, right. Holla girl, wasn't that great? Oh my gosh, I so love it. She was wonderful, wasn't she? And I got to be honest. Let me be completely transparent. I was not sure I was going to like her. I thought, oh Lord, I'm finally getting old. I'm just not sure this is going to be somebody who's good for me. And can I tell you, she absolutely was wonderful. I absolutely loved her. Kristen says today on my calendar, it says, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Girl, it was changing me. It was changing me into a crazy woman. That's what it was doing. I was crazy, girl. I just need you to know. Hey, Victoria. Good to see you on here. Um, so, so yeah, yeah. Convention was fabulous, and we're going to talk about that later, and we're going to talk about a keynote speaker and everything that we all got from her. There was such enthusiasm, such excitement, such a fire lit. And look, not necessarily for what we heard about what we were getting. One, it was about us being together as a tribe, for sure. It was. Everybody got to see everybody. But it was just reiterating that, you know what? Sometimes you got to figure what's what's your job in all this? When it comes to your business, what's your job? What is it you're supposed to do? And you've got to block out the negative. Sometimes I loved, she said remix. Sometimes she goes, you don't remix just once. Sometimes you have to remix many, many times. Kristen said, yep, she was the best, I think. Motivate. Absolutely. I've heard this far out of all conventions. Was really, look, I've loved just about everybody they bought us. I can remember when we had Darren Hardy. I can remember, gosh, there's so many that we've had. John Gordon we've had, and just we've had a lot of good, but she was spot on with, I believe, what we needed. Hey, Jessica, good to see you. Um, So yeah. So we'll talk about that more. I could sit here and talk for 2 hours about all the people I met and all the people I hugged again and all the great things they bought us. JJ bought us a great new thing that made me think differently. I spoke to her about that at convention, um, talking about, what is your hero products? What is it that you love and how you don't have to concentrate on everything and figure out what you're best at. So we're going to talk more about that. I really, really loved what she had to say. And I hope they keep revisiting that because my team needs to hear it. Faux show, they do. Um, but let's talk about this. I mean, exactly kind of what we were just talking about. The devotional today talks about getting unstuck from my thinking rut. Now, some of us think so much and we get so used to our thinking that it becomes your norm. And I think my message today would be quit thinking that you're too old to change your thinking. Quit thinking that you're too set in your ways. Quit thinking, no, this is how it is. Because here's the truth. Whatever you think, that's what it's going to be. That's always been. It's always been. If you think it's going to be a rotten day, I can pretty much guarantee you it's going to be a rotten day. Um, I'm so glad you did, Victoria. Thank you, girl. Get back to what you were doing. You can see this later for sure. But you have to think about your thinking. We are never too old to think better. We are never too old or so set in our ways to, hey, Veronica, you're watching from work. Yay. Shh, don't get in trouble. You're never too old to change a path. You are never too old to be different than what you've been. And you're never too old to block out the noise, the people that are talking about you, the people who are saying, oh my gosh, he or she is. Do you not believe that every time I get on here live, that there aren't people who say, oh, there she is again. There she goes again. Oh, it's just Molly talking about Jesus again. Oh, it's just Molly talking about her business. Oh, it's just Molly getting on here. It's okay. Hey, Christy, you're packing. Yay. Where are you going, girl? Are you going like to something for Unique? I don't know where are you going, girl? Did I miss something? Oh my goodness. Yes, Veronica, never too old for a remix. Was that not a perfect message for us? Because in our business, in life, we got to do that. We've got to be willing to remix, to change our thinking, because there are some things that we can't change. We can get upset about things. We can get mad about things. We can hold grudges about things. We can say, I'm not going to have anything to do with that person. I'm not going to work my business. I'm not going to work on my marriage. I'm not going to do this. Oh, you're going to Kentucky, Christy. Give your family a huge hug for me, especially that mom and dad of yours. Just hug them real tight and say, this is from Molly. They'll know. They haven't had one in a long time, but they'll know. Let them know. Um, you have got to be willing to look at some things differently. Um, Lee just posted and said, we discovered this weekend that we're going to have to adjust how we do these events with me. I'm going to have to bring an assistant for me. Yeah, there's a lot of people who want to meet me and Lee when we come to these events. And I think that Lee and I get so used to being in our own environment. And even when we go up to the kids, we kind of know what that environment looks like. They're good enough to keep things the same for us. And Lee and I are starting to realize that he's losing more of his sight, which makes things more difficult, like getting him to a restroom. The Gaylord that I could not find any family restrooms where I could take him in there and direct him to where the sink was and things like that. And and I just, at first he was like, maybe it's just time for me, like, not to come to these things because you need to be here. And I thought, you know what? No, there has to be a way. We are not the only people who have dealt with things like this. And it is true. It does bring stress on me because my first priority is to make sure he's okay. But then what was happening is it was kind of taking me away from what I should be doing, or I'm worrying, is he okay? Is somebody running for me and they bump him? And people, he didn't know sometimes who was talking to him because Lee appears to see well, yet he doesn't. Yet he doesn't. So yeah. So adjustment, changing your way of thinking. Sure, we could have gone down a path and said, "Yep, we're not going to be able to do this anymore. We're not going to be able to come to these things anymore. We're not going to be able to do this anymore." That's not positive thinking. That is not a positive way to figure it out. You got to take a moment. You got to figure out what should be different, and then you you just keep working at it until it's right. That can be business, that can be your marriage, that can be just a relationship, that can be with your kids, that can be a valley that you're going through, it can be a mountain that you're trying to climb, it can be something to do with your job and maybe feeling like you were wronged, and maybe it's something you feel like that in no way whatsoever can you change it. What you can change is your thinking. What you can change is how you decide to handle it, how you decide to embrace it. And sometimes the first thing you have to do is just stop and be still. Remix. Love what she said. She was just the holla girl, let me tell you. Just stop. Take a moment. There's a way, but sometimes the path doesn't always show itself. Sometimes it just doesn't. Um, yes, absolutely, Kristen, you are right. We will look, we're going to come as long as we can come. If God opens a door and He allows everything to line up, whether it's financially or with Lee's disability or things that have happened to me, we know where we belong, and where we belong is in the heart of this company and the heart of the representatives, and there is no place that we want to be. I mean, look, I'm not going to lie, I am still exhausted. It had been a long time since I had been amongst that many people, and I kept seeing people that I knew, and then I was meeting people I didn't know, and I fixed all those cakes before I came. So, I mean, I was working, and so it was a little crazy. It was a little crazy, but it was a good crazy in the end. And it was a good tired in the end. Um, and there's some people that I really wanted to see that for the life of me, I didn't get to see them. Um, Lee, you just need to behave. Thank you, Christy. Tell him. Tell him he stresses me out when he doesn't behave himself. Quit acting like a seeing guy, you a blind guy. Quit acting like you can see. You can't see. You make me nervous when you act like you can see. It was crazy. We had just gotten into the Gaylord, and we were on the escalator going down, and Lee does real well. You should have seen all our friends were like they were hanging with us and going down, our team members, and here's Lee, and Lee and I we just have a way that Lee, don't harm me. We got a way that I just know, okay, Lee, we're coming to an escalator, and he knows, he feels with his right hand, okay, Lee, you feel the rail there, we're getting on. He looks for the light, he can still see lights and things like that, and I said, get on and feel. We know what we're doing, right? We know what we're doing. But everybody else was so daggone just paranoid about him. They all felt like they had to hold on to him from 18 different sides, and I'm laughing like, oh my gosh, you guys gonna push him down the escalator is what's gonna happen. And it ended up that there was a lady in front of us. I didn't know her. Didn't even know she was with Avon, but she was. And she was on in front of us. And when she got near the bottom of the escalator, um, one of her shoes was untied, and she didn't know it, and it got caught. and she fell. She fell right in front of me. She fell in front of me, and all I can think of is Lee is like 3 steps behind me. And when she went down, she went down. I jumped off, and luckily didn't step on her leg, and jumped over here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And I remember Lee's coming down. Like all of a sudden, I didn't even remember I had a blind guy coming down behind me, and I'm like, Lee, somebody fell. She's at the bottom of the escalator, and I don't even know how he did it. He just kind of like took a leap and missed and missed her completely, because it could have been like Lee falling over her, and all I'm thinking is I'm gonna break my arm again. Something's gonna happen here, and people are down there. They're trying to like hit the emergency button, right? And I'm just trying to get her legs straight, get everything. So I turn. Lee's great. He's done taking the Superman leap, right? Dun da da da, and he like leaps over her, leaps by me, and he's okay. He's standing there, and they finally got the escalator stopped. And here, okay, people are so wonderful. Don't let people tell you that there's no good people left in the world. People, and I'm not even talking about the hotel people because they didn't know that, but people came willingly. They would have greeted you with open arms. Always say hi to Mom Lee. Oh yeah, absolutely. Mwah. I just she says, I need someone to straighten my leg. I straighten her leg, and that's when she said, my shoe's untied. I know that's what happened. Man, I was down. I was like, no problem. Let me tie your shoe first. So I get her shoe tied, and we get both her legs straight. And she's like, and this is when I found out she was an Avon lady. She goes, everybody's like, are you okay? Are you okay? Do you think you can stand up? And she goes, yeah, I think I'm just an embarrassed Avon lady. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're an Avon lady? I'm like, hi, I'm Molly. I'm like, come on, we got to get her up. We got to get her up and standing. And there was one really nice gentleman from the back, and he was helping her up, and 2 people on the side. And I'm trying to keep her legs straight for her, and we got her up. And of course, the concierge and everybody came over, rushing over, had her checked, all of that stuff to make sure she was okay. She's like, look, I'm good. It's not my first fall. She says, I'm good. I'm just a little embarrassed. I'm like, don't be embarrassed. I could tell you about the time I fell up the stairs and broke my arm. Just happened recently, like a few months ago. And, just trying to ease her embarrassment a little bit. Nobody likes to fall. Nobody. And you got people around you looking. And so everybody was so good to her. So, but luckily, there was a Jesus moment there with Lee. Again, the Superman jump. I don't even know what that was all about, but he did it. He didn't run into me. He didn't run into her. It was a good thing. But I'm glad she was okay, and I did see her later on, and she seemed to be walking well. I'm sure she was a little sore. So, um, but thinking, what is your thinking? I could tell she just wanted to crawl into a hole, right? And then all of a sudden she figured out, sometimes you just got to laugh at yourself in the situation. You got to say, did that really happen? This is crazy. And everybody wanted to make sure she felt comfortable. And when she got up and everything was done and we all felt better and my heart rate went down because I was like, oh no. I just thought, that was bad that she fell, but so great to see everybody like come to her. You know how they always show you videos on, TikTok, and there are people just walking by. People are being hurt, people are beating on people, people are falling. And it always amazes me that people will sit there and they will tape things like this. But where are the people who help them up? No, what's happened is there are people, I believe the majority of the time, that do help other people. But I think the videos that of course get the most views are the ones that deliver the bad information, the ones that deliver the funny stuff at somebody else's expense. And I looked around, I didn't see any people holding up a camera or a phone trying to videotape it. Everybody was just worried about her. So the Avon world came through, and I don't think all these people were Avon. I think some of them were just guests, and they really came through. So it was really a moment where I'm like, the love and caring does exist. Stop watching the media, because they are the ones that, are the absolute worst at putting information out there. So getting unstuck from my thinking rut, you gotta change your way of thinking. You've got to think better. Everybody knows we've been in the devotional book called Embrace by Liza Turkhurst. I love her. This book was given to me by a friend from my church when I was going through my cancer scare. And it just deals with so many different things. And the verse from this is from Romans 12:2. And it says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." That's such a good book. I love Romans. That's a good verse. And she says in this, have you felt discouraged with your progress toward having better reactions? Maybe you think, what's the use? I just stuff my emotions. Or what's the use? I can't help but yell. Sweet friend, I believe there is more to it than claiming that because we act a certain way, that's the way it will always be. Brain research shows that every conscious thought we have is recorded on our internal hard drive, known as the cerebral cortex. Each thought scratches the surface just like an Etch-a-Sketch. Y'all remember the Etch-a-Sketches, right? Used to have one, loved them. Matter of fact, I think I had two in my life. I think I needed to see what was inside, and Mom was not happy with me, and I kind of figured out how to open up that Etch-a-Sketch, and all that stuff came out. Oh, Lord. It was not, yeah, we don't even want to talk about that because my hiney hurt for a while after doing that. Um, when we have the same thought again, the line of the original thought is deepened, causing what's called a memory trace. With each repetition, the trace goes deeper and deeper, forming and embedding a pattern of thought. When an emotion is tied to this thought pattern, the memory trace grows exponentially stronger. We forget most of our random thoughts that are tied to an emotion. However, we retain the ones we think often that have an emotion tied to them. And those emotions aren't always good emotions. For example, if we have had the thought over and over that we failed at having a good reaction and that the thought is tied to a strong emotion, we deepen the memory trace when we repeatedly access that thought. The same is true if we decide to stuff a thought. We'll 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 figure out what that stuffing is. Or if we yell, we'll keep yelling. We won't develop new responses until we develop new thoughts. That's why renewing our minds with new thoughts is crucial. New thoughts come from new perspectives. The Bible encourages this process, which only makes sense because God created the human mind and understands better than anyone how we function. A foundational teaching of Scripture is that it is possible to be completely changed through transformed thought patterns. That's exactly the point of today's key verse, Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. And as we learned yesterday, Scripture also teaches that we can accept or refuse thoughts. Instead of being held hostage by old thought patterns, we can actually capture our thoughts and allow the power of Christ's truth to change them. I don't know about you, but understanding how my brain is designed makes these verses come alive in a whole new way. Taking thoughts captive and being transformed by thinking in new ways isn't some new age form of mind control. It's biblical and it's fitting with how God wires our brains. I can't control the things that happen to me each day, but I can control how I think about them. I can say to myself, I have a choice to have destructive thoughts or constructive thoughts right now. I can wallow in what's wrong and make things worse, or I can ask God for a better perspective to help me see good even when I don't feel good. Indeed, when we gain new perspectives, we can see new ways of thinking. And if we change the way we think, we'll change the ways we act and react. So basically, what she's saying is if you don't like your relationship with your kid, if you don't like how you react to your kids, if you don't like how you react to your husband, if you don't like how you react to your boss, if you don't like the way a conversation goes with somebody, you have the ability to change your thoughts on that. And when you change your thoughts, you will absolutely change your actions. But it all starts here. It all starts with you deciding you're going to do something differently. If something's not working in your business, if you're not happy with the direction of something's going, that doesn't have to stop you from being your best, right? You have the power to think differently. And you may say, but everybody else thinks this way. Everybody else thinks this is bad. Everybody else. So, I mean, if they think that, you've got to stop following the pattern of everybody else. Now is the time to choose to be the person that God made you to be. He gave you your own unique brain. And I don't think He created you to follow wherever the agenda is or whatever the mood is for something. I talked to quite a few people while we were at the Avon convention who had recently come back, and they had gotten pretty just mind bent that they didn't want to be part of the company anymore some time ago. And then, something happened, and they decided, whoa, wait a minute, I think I want to come back. And with all of them, every single one of them, it was about listening to somebody else tell them how bad something was in the company where they were, right? It was somebody else telling them, this is bad, and I shouldn't be a part of this, or I shouldn't do that. And and yet all of a sudden it was like they just tracked with that person. Maybe they tracked with them to a new company. Maybe they just tracked with them for quitting. And the emotion was completely negative. And they just did it because somebody else told them that the grass was greener. Somebody else told them that, rather than watering your own grass over here because it looks much better, although that was artificial turf, right? Learn to think for yourself. I would never want somebody who is following me to only have thoughts on something based on what I say. Now, if you agree 100 because you've thought about it, hey, that's great. But sometimes I have fallen prey to that too. I need you to know that. Sometimes something can come across and all you're grabbing is the negative. And that's what I figured out when I was at convention, that sometimes I need to see that the positivity and the energy and what makes us who we are as an organization, it is us. It's the attitude that we decide to carry into it. That no matter what the valley is, no matter what problem we find on the mountain that we're climbing, that the deal is that what your thought pattern is and how you decide to get past something, that's what counts. Stop following what you've always done. Stop it. If you've been somebody who so easily always picks up on the negative, let me let you in on something. That's a choice. When you decide that all there's going to be is negative, you have chosen that. Because even when there's negative going on around us, we absolutely positively can say, nope, not staying here. I'm going to find the positive and I'm going to go onward no matter what. I don't care how hard it looks. I don't care how bad it appears. I need you to know that following the negativity is never going to lead you to a good place. And sometimes I have to shut it down. I have to shut it down. Even when it's people that I love, even when it's people that I have been following for a long time. Look, I don't know anything that's always been good. My marriage hasn't always been good. My relationship with my kids have not always been good. No matter what job it was I had, it's not always been good. Me being with Avon has not always been good. My family relationship has not, that's not totally dysfunctional, but the point is, that's not always been good. But you know what I try to pick? I try, y'all get so tired of hearing me say, onward no matter what, onward no matter what, because let me tell you, there's no negative in that statement. The statement says no matter what you're dealing with. I don't care what you're dealing with your kids. When my kids have just done things that I'm like, are you kidding me? I have to immediately go, but my job is to love them through it. And my Avon tribe, my Avon team, when things just don't seem to exactly be lining up, when you lead with love, when you lead with positive thinking, when you lead like Mr. Timothy Brown leads, saying, I know some things don't look good. I know some things don't feel great. I know I'm tired after this day. I know my kids are driving me crazy. I know that my boss at work is just, I don't even know how he became boss. I get it. But it's your job to say, I know what's floating around me, but how am I going to think about it? How am I going to react to it? What am I going to bring to the table that is going to encourage anyone who's watching you to say, man, I need to be more like that. That's who I need to be. God made this brain in our head, and He did not make it for all the negative. But let me tell you what happens. He gave us a brain that can go either way. If you choose to always shove negative in it, if you choose to always think the worst of the worst, if you choose to say, oh, well, who didn't know that? Every time something happens, that is you choosing the direction you're letting your thought pattern go. It is. And sometimes, look, I get it. I'm sorry. This is life. There's always going to be some bad things, y'all. Come on. There's always going to be some bad things. There's always going to be things, and I'm not telling you not to like the bad things. I'm telling you, you need to use your prepositions and say, you're right, I don't like this. I don't like how this is going. I don't like how this feels. I don't like this. So how am I going to go through it, go over it, go under it, go around it? Use your prepositions of life and figure out how you are going to go onward no matter what. And sometimes for me, it's stopping in the moment and just saying, Jesus, fix it. Jesus, fix me. Fix my thinking. Let me take a moment, Lord. Fix what I am thinking. Please. That normally will stop me in my tracks. And the first thing I hear these days is, Molly, be still. Take a moment, Molly. Remember what your words are. Onward, no matter what. Don't be in a thinking rut. Now is the time for you to choose that you're going to deal differently. I know. Molly, everything with you is always sparkles and rainbows and unicorns. Well, I like sparkles and I like rainbows. And I'm somebody who believes there probably was a unicorn one time or another. Life is not always that way for me. And if you've followed me long enough, you absolutely know that it has not been. But what has gotten me through all those things and through current circumstances, and I know I might not be talking about them, but there are current circumstances in my life, y'all, right? I'm telling you, What gets me through it, number one, is God. But it's God telling me, stop it, be still. And if somebody is coming at you with some negativity, coming at you with hatefulness, coming at you, look, don't let your thinking and your reactions go to their level. Don't yell back at them. Sometimes my reaction is, man, you really had a bad day, haven't you? It sounds like you had a bad year. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry you are. Because I know I didn't do this. Whatever's bothering you, I didn't do this. You're going to get and you're going to have what you train yourself to have and to be. This is where personal responsibility comes in. I hate it when I look, men are the worst for this. Not trying to pick on my guy friends, but I'm going to tell you, I heard this all the time, especially in my first marriage. I am who I am. I'm too old for this. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. If you don't like me for who I am, and I'm thinking, what if I don't like you? You don't even like you. If you don't even like you and you are always miserable all the time, newsflash, cupcake, you chose it. You are choosing the direction. Look for the blessings outside of what's making you miserable right now. Seriously, look for the things, and sometimes it's no more than being still and looking outside and seeing the birds and the feeder or the rabbits feeding on the clover outside, and me saying, man, Molly, you're worried about this. God's taking care of the bunnies, the rabbits, the raccoons, everything. He's got a space for it all. He loves you. He will take care of you, but He will not control your thinking. He gives me free will to decide where I'm going to take whatever happens to me, whether it be negative, whether it be positive, whether it be something in between. You choose. You choose. Will you? Or will you just be those people who say, no, I already know where this is going. You people are the ones who are stupid hanging on. Y'all can't see the writing on the wall. No, the problem is that the writing on your wall has been the same for a lifetime. And you need to paint that wall and close out that message that you have been reading all this time and change your direction and change how you look at things. Swing it to the positive no matter what. Know that God has got you if you let him. But I don't think you're gonna let him do any getting when all you're seeing is this rut that you're in of just deciding that this is how bad it's going to be and it's always going to get worse. No, it's not. I met ladies and heard from ladies at convention this past week who were at convention. They were there and they were fighting breast cancer. They were fighting different things in their life. Their husbands their kids were sick, and they were there, and their attitude was, I am going to keep living life no matter what, and I am going to fight until the bitter end because that's who God made me. It was their choice. God did make them that way, but it was their choice. My inspiration receiver was taking this in, and I immediately said, Molly Stone Bibb, quit feeling sorry for yourself with anything that's going on. You don't have to like it, but you need to make adjustments and definitely make an attitude adjustment and say, I'm going to do the very best I can with what I have going on. Get out of your rut. Get out of that mindset that says it'll never be better than what it is. It is what you make it. Your body, your responses, your vocabulary, everything about you is decided by your thought pattern, not by what happens to you, by how you deal with it and how you think. Let's think better. You're not in this alone. I'm just as guilty as you are. I am. But I'm here to tell you I'm going to strive to get out of that negative thinking rut. I am going to strive to be better. Yes, Miss Elizabeth, we are going to remix. Don't beat yourself up for what you've done in the past. Don't beat yourself up for how you reacted in the past few months, maybe the past years. Stop that. Remix. If you're still alive and you're still breathing, you can fix what is broken within you. Let's work on it together. God has got you, and you have a tribe here around you who says you're not alone with this. So let's be better together. Okay? Sound good? Good deal. Avon, I will see you tonight. We will have a live stream. Probably will be on my phone, but that's okay until the new camera comes in. But we will get together and we will talk about what we loved about convention and give our take on what we're going to do with our business and just love each other through it. Okay? Have a great day, everybody. Take care.